Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges gets opportunity. But here's what I do know: we're the freaking New York Jets. So we're built. Listen, I want this job.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Well, you heard the man. We're built for this. we're the freaking New York Jets, man, and we're built for this. Listen, the staff is complete. The staff is complete. Officially, we've got the last hire today for Aaron Glenn's new staff. And I want to say thank you, man, for you guys for being patient yesterday. I had some technical difficulties. Got a new upgrade to the house. We went a little bit up on our internet connection, and apparently it wasn't working the way it was supposed to. So yesterday, I pretty much spent the entire day after getting out of work just trying to get on the same page with freaking my internet provider. Didn't work out, but today they came through. Boom. It's top notch now. I'm getting all kinds of speeds and whatnot, and I'm hoping it translates, of course, to the content that I'm putting out there. So yeah, it's a Thursday edition of the Hangar Hangout, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your guy, Gunny. And today, man, we're going to be talking about survival. 2025 was, let's just be honest, man, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. We're talking about going 3-14, 0 interceptions, right? An offense that was nearly almost 500 yards worse than the 31st ranked team in the league. It was just a bad year all around, right? And then, of course, you've got the firing of the entire staff, minus the head coach. We've been going back and forth about whether or not this is a good thing, a bad thing, how we feel as a fan base. But here we are. It's February 2026. Before we kick it off, Jesse, what's up, brother, man? Shout out to you. Appreciate you, man, for your understanding and of course, the encouraging words. I know you said you dealt with some issues as well when it comes to internet providers, man. I appreciate you. What's up to you, dog? And my boy Dano. What's good, Dano? It's been a while, dog. I feel like you and I haven't chopped it up in a while. We need to go ahead and connect, dog. Like maybe on your show, my show, something. This has been too long since you and I shared a screen together, man. Appreciate you guys for meeting up and hanging out at the hangar for a Thursday night edition. All right. So, as you all know, the New York Jets wind up completing the process, right? So they got their guys. So Aaron Glenn wind up finalizing, I guess, the last component to his new second coaching staff in 2 years. Now, as I said before, man, it's February 2026, and the Patriots, just a little start off with some great news. Patriots just got walloped on the biggest stage in sports, and they proved pretty much what everybody was saying all year, that they didn't belong. They had no business being in the playoffs, let alone to the Super Bowl, and to see them just get their bell rocked was just, it was awesome. It was freaking awesome. So that's a great way to start off the week, right? The Patriots are embarrassed. You're seeing the Patriots fans, they're crying on freaking social media. You got guys talking about, well, statistically speaking, freaking Drake May did better than freaking Sam Darnold. Like, these are the kind of crybaby antics. It's fun. It's great to watch. It's bringing a lot of joy, man. Their tears are just, I just want to drink them. I'm loving this. So again, from one Jets fan to the Patriots fans, man, fuck you guys. I'm glad that you guys are going through this right now. And I don't care what little comments you're going to make in regards to, oh my God, coming from a Jets fan. Doesn't matter. I'm glad that you guys right now are in your feelings, fake ass fan base, and you guys are exactly where you deserve to be, back at home, and you're not going back. This delirious aspect of them talking about, oh, they're going to be back next year. You guys are not going back. That freaking baby formula freaking schedule is not going to happen for you guys again. You're not going to get into the playoffs and go through freaking backup quarterbacks and freaking injured freaking teams. Not going to happen again, boys. Hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be the same thing with the Titans when freaking Vrabel got there and he bumped them up a little bit for the first couple of years and then starts to decline. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all didn't capitalize. And back to the freaking mid-range for you guys. What's up, Jets Worldwide? Nice to see you in the building, brother. Jesse says, Sam Darnold saved our feelings about the season with what they did to the Patriots. Now, 100%. Hey, thank you, Sam Darnold. We appreciate you as a fan base. I mean, I get it. It didn't work out with us. It was never your fault. We know that as well. But you're a Super Bowl champion now. And, man, it just a wonderful way to go ahead and come full circle, right? You're talking about Sam Darnold and the infamous meme of him seeing ghosts, right? That was the thing. He was seeing ghosts. And oddly enough, it looked like it was Drake May seeing ghost against the Seattle Seahawks. It was absolutely beautiful. So happy for Sam. Happy for the Patriots to go ahead and get their teeth kicked in. And all right, I guess that's enough of me talking about those guys. And let's talk about the Jets. So, so Aaron Glenn obviously took a sledgehammer to the status quo in terms of what the team was, and he purged the staff. Whether or not he purged the staff because it was his decision or not, nevertheless, there's a whole new group of adults that are in One Jets Drive now. A whole group of new coaches, and honestly, man, we're talking about some veterans with some high level NFL experience. Of course, there's some young creative blood from the best coaching trees in the league as well, which you want to go ahead and see. So it's a little bit of a nice mix of potential coaches, right? Things you got to look at in regards to the veteran experience. A lot of these young guys coming from winning programs, and you got to look at it, and you're starting to wonder, like, man, okay. I thought this team was going to be pretty much absolute garbage going into next year, but man, I'm telling you, I don't know actually now if that's going to be the case. And I'm going to explain. I'm not going to sit here and backpedal. We're not going to the Super Bowl the next year. I'm not delusional like Patriots fans. We're not going to the Super Bowl or maybe not even make the playoffs, right? But I think there's an argument to be made now that some of what we've seen with the coaching staff he's just built now is a step up from what he had last year. And we're going to break down how, and if it all comes together, man, I don't know. I just have a feeling. My guy, New York Flight Jets Talk. What's up, Connor? How you doing, brother? Nice to see you in the building, man. Keep crushing it, dog. God bless. God bless you too, brother. I'm doing what I can. Appreciate the support. I know this isn't my night. I'm usually on Wednesday nights. I just, again, couldn't do it yesterday because of the technical difficulties. So we're kicking it off tonight, brother. I appreciate you chopping it up and then being in the chat. Appreciate the super chat as well. Good looking out. Jesse Engstrand had to go. Yeah, to an extent. I'm again with the Engstrand situation. I guess I'm a little conflicted, only because the recent history of Frank Reich, right? Engstrand did a lot of good things last year with no quarterback. And I think as a rookie freaking offensive coordinator, it was fair to make the argument that maybe another opportunity was warranted to kind of see what he brought to the table. I'm not going to die on that hill and saying like he was, going to be the next freaking McVay or anything. But in terms of what the options were when you wind up letting him go, you kind of had some hope that our offensive coordinator can go back to the film room, see where he can go ahead and fine tune some aspects of his play calling, of his play design, and get better, right? Because he did do some good things, man. He was up there with some top notch offensive minded coaches in terms of separation, some good metrics that you would look at and you're like, okay, you can build off of that. Again, I'm not dying on the hill for Engstrand. I wouldn't say he had to go, but at the end of the day, right now, I think Aaron Glenn's fighting for his life, and giving Engstrand another year to kind of make sure he brings it all together might have been too risky. So it is what it is. Party with Pregandardi. Pigander. What's up, brother, man? Nice to see you as well, man. Party with Pigandardi. I feel like there's a meaning behind that, and I don't know what it is. What's up, man? Pleasure for you to be here with us as well, man, talking New York Jets football. All right, so let's just break down why this reset might actually work, right? And I think the fact that okay, so if the Jets have even an average free agency, let's start there. They have an average free agency. They leverage that $83 million in cap space, and then they even have an average draft. It doesn't have to be a home run. Just have an average draft. They might do the one thing I think most of us are kind of terrified of, and that's potentially win enough games to cost us the number one overall pick next year, and honestly, probably save Aaron Glenn's job in the process. I'm not sitting here saying that it's a lock, right? And just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how like he'll be gone by the bye week, and I still do believe there's a chance of that. But when you look at the roster and you're being objective and you're looking at it with some context and not just with emotion, there's some things you got to look at, man, and really wonder, like, man, this team might be good enough just to go ahead and keep the number one overall pick away from us, and also to, in essence, keep Aaron Glenn as the head coach. And let's break it down. Let's start with the side of the ball that's been an eyesore for the last decade, right? Let's talk about the offense. So the answer for stabilization, apparently, is going to be Reich and Musgrave. Now, Aaron Glenn went out and he got Frank Reich as the new OC. And I can admit, I'm not the biggest fan. I was hypercritical, and we can say what we want about his time in Carolina. I know I made my jokes about it, but the man, if we're being honest, man, is a QB stabilizer. He brings a structured West Coast system, and you're bringing in now Bill Musgrave as a QB coach. Now, Musgrave is the same guy who oversaw Derek Carr's development and had his best years, and Matt Ryan's development as well. So this is about kind of raising the floor at the quarterback position a little bit, right? And with the Derek Carr snippets that we're currently hearing, this may be a very strategic move. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys these were home run additions, right? Again, Frank Reich, he's kind of shown his cards a little bit in terms of what he's been the last couple of years. He's not really like, he doesn't really exuberate a bunch of confidence in what it can be, but this is a guy who we've seen build offenses around the talent that he currently has at his disposal. This isn't a guy who's so stuck in his ways that he can't orchestrate, play design that's going to benefit what's around him. And I think that's what might make Frank Reich an anomaly, right, in terms of what he can do. He's seen a lot of football. He's coached a lot of football. This is a guy also who might be looking at a redemption story. So there's a lot of components when you sit there and you talk about Frank Reich that you can like. Honestly, you can like it. And that's where, let me go ahead and put this on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that. And I think when it comes to that, I'm looking at the strategic aspect of it. When you're looking at the quarterback position being just a nightmare for us last year, you bring in a guy that has had a lot of success with a lot of different quarterbacks. This is the same guy with Carson Wentz and what's his name, man? The dude that wind up winning the Super Bowl for the Eagles that year. They didn't miss a beat. Carson Wentz goes down, almost having an MVP caliber season. They go straight to Nick Foles, and they still wind up winning the Super Bowl. And that was under Reich's watch, right? So you got to give credit where credit is due. And as much as I don't think he's the most exciting hire, there's some components to bringing him in that you got to look at objectively if you're trying to do this sports thing and you're looking at it, from 10,000 feet. And there is some good to the Frank Reich hire, right? Because quarterback was just abysmal for us last year. And we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. That's another thing as well, right? It adds to the question of whether or not we're going to do something in the draft. Are we going to go ahead and take a flyer on somebody, maybe use one of those later round picks on a developmental quarterback, like a Drew Aller, maybe, right? Because he fits kind of the mold of what Frank Reich likes. And can Musgrave and Reich collectively develop this individual to be a suitable NFL quarterback or even an average NFL quarterback? These are the questions you got to ask yourself. Keep it simple. RC says, let's say AG doesn't make it through the season. Do you think AG would have another opportunity to lead another squad? Honestly, it depends on how bad it looks. So you just saw Saleh got his second chance a year removed, right, from being a head coach of the New York Jets. He gets his second chance. Now he's with the Titans. It depends on where he winds up and if he can be a great defensive coordinator. Remember, when it comes to AG, man, like his tenure with the Lions as a defensive coordinator, it wasn't like he was a shit hot coordinator, right? Like it took some time. But eventually they got within I think a top 10 unit the year before last, because even the last year he played DC, he was the DC. Like it was a top 15 unit. Granted, there were injuries, and I understand that he made the best of what he had to work with, but he only really had one top 10 season as a defensive coordinator with the Lions, right? Was that a fluke? Or can he be that consistent guy in terms of developing and play design that allows him to get to that point? Coach Saleh, let's be honest, man. The Jets defense was great under Coach Saleh. It was great. That was his focal point. That was his freaking bread and butter. The defense wasn't the problem. Offense was the problem. The defense wasn't. Then he leaves and then goes back to the 49ers. And with all of those injuries, consistently finding ways to win games, get down to the wire. And I think they finished as a top 10 unit without having some of their best players. I think Saleh is one of those guys that proves that defensively he's got that defensive mind. I don't know if he's got that head coach gene in him. I think the same thing might happen with him again. He might go to the Titans. It's too much, and then he winds up being a career coordinator, defensive coordinator in the NFL. And mind you, that's not a shot at Saleh. I think some guys are just built to be coordinators, and some guys got that head coach gene. Not everybody can do it. I think that's a misconception that, oh, if they're good coordinators, then it's just easy to become a head. There are more head coaches fail than actually succeed in the NFL. It's a constant rotation. Few guys got that actual dog in them to be able to be a head coach at the NFL level. I'm going to say Saleh doesn't have it. And honestly, I'm going to say I don't think Aaron Glenn has it. I think Aaron Glenn might be a good to average to good defensive coordinator in the NFL. I don't know if the head coach gene is something that he has. And again, not a shot at those guys. That's not a bad thing. There's only 32 of those jobs in the entire world. You got to be the best of the best of the best, sir, when it comes to that role. And just because you're not that, you got there, you took your shot, and you didn't make it. Not a shot at him. I don't know if he's got that dog in him. And again, I don't know if he's a good enough defensive coordinator that's going to warrant another team to give him an opportunity. We know Saleh was. We know Vrabel was, right? They both got other opportunities. I don't know if AG's that guy. Now, granted, he's charismatic. He understands how to go ahead and control the narrative. He can get in front of the mic. He might be able to sway somebody into giving him another opportunity. But if I had to bet on it, dependent on how bad he does this coming season, which I'd have to wager is probably going to be rough if some things don't fall in line with what we're going to discuss tonight, I would wager no. I would say no. Keep it simple, RC. That he doesn't get another opportunity to be a head coach, but he'll definitely be a long-time defensive coordinator in this NFL. Keep it simple. Excuse me. Keep it simple, RC. Tell me I'm wrong. Peyton Manning stayed in school to avoid playing for us 97. If we have the number one pick in 27, Arch Manning will stay in school. I'm going to say you're wrong. And the reason I'm going to say you're wrong is it's widely known that the reason why Peyton Manning went back to college was because there was no guarantee by Bill Parcells that he was going to be the number one overall pick. I believe Archie Manning, Peyton's dad, right? He wanted his sons to be first overall pick. First overall pick, that was the thing, right? He wanted those guys to have that legacy. And he believed Peyton had that in him, which obviously was the case. And they wanted to guarantee that he was going to be able to be the first overall pick if he comes out. And it wasn't granted to him. It wasn't granted to him. People keep saying that it was about the whole New York thing, but then why'd he let Eli go to the New York Giants? They weren't a great team either at the time. He let him go to the New York Giants. So it wasn't about fear of the bigger market. It wasn't about fear of the fans and whatnot. He wanted to guarantee that his son would be the first overall pick. Parcells refused to give it to him, and that's why he wound up going back to school. Had he gotten the guarantee, all indications state that Archie would have allowed his son to come out and be drafted. So I think the same will be true here of Arch Manning. I think Arch Manning right now going into the 2026-2027 college football season, he's the number one overall pick. I think he is. And I get that some people will look at his game this past year and look at the ups and downs, but on the back end of that season, he figured it out. Like everything clicked. It was initially his first year actually starting in college, and you saw it click. And this is a guy with a lot of gifted talents, right? He's got the athleticism, he's got the arm strength, he's got the freaking DNA. And I personally believe he's got the IQ for it. Now, he's more of a gunslinger. I think that's because of the fact that he's got more arm talent than Peyton and then Eli in terms of arm strength and being able to go ahead and put it all over the field and different angles. I like Arch a lot. And the development process, of course, is going to be an ongoing process. But if Arch Manning gets the thumbs up that he's going to be the first overall pick next year, I think Archie lets him come out. I don't think it's going to be an issue. So for me, I think, yes, Arch Manning will let Archie come out next year if we have the first overall pick, and it is known that he is going to be picked by the New York Jets. I think if we don't do that, then yeah, I think he'll wind up potentially going back to school, and that would suck. Dano, what's good, brother? Yeah, man. The grades are coming in a little bit more now. Yeah, I'm getting at my big age, bro. It's just more patches of gray keep popping up. It is what it is, dog. Life comes at you fast, right, at my big age. So yeah, man, it's. I mean, hopefully it might wind up looking like the Aaron Glenn aspect, where it's all freaking salt here over the next few years. I don't know how fast it's gonna happen, but definitely I'm starting to go ahead and pursue that green bean approach. What's up, Cody Norman, man? Nice to see you in the chat, brother. Hope you're enjoying that jersey. We have football messiah Aaron Glenn. Listen, I want to be clear on this, man. Like I'm not hoping for Aaron Glenn to fail. I'm not. Like I want him to prove us wrong. If Aaron Glenn somehow, some way comes out this coming year and he proves that I don't know ball, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Aaron Glenn dominating and turning things around and making this team relevant and being the guy. As long as we're talking about doing it consistently and it's not a fluke, I'm 100% on board. I don't see it just based off of the proof source he's already given us and what the data tells us in terms of historically how this is going to turn out for us. And as Jets fans, we've seen so much bad football that like it's just kind of, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's become kind of a nuance to kind of see what bad looks like. So that's where my concerns come when it comes to Aaron Glenn. And I'm telling you, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I really am. I don't want to be right about what this next season is going to be because it's going to be painful. There's a realm where the Jets freaking turn things around and they have a Patriots type of run, and hopefully it's like meaningful wins, vice freaking beating up on bum teams, and they make it to the playoffs, right? And yeah, we might not have our first overall pick, but the Colts fall off of a cliff, or the Cowboys or the Packers fall off of a cliff somehow, and then we still have the number one overall pick. That could really happen for us because we got 3 first-round picks next year: the Colts, the Packers, or Packers or Cowboys, whichever's the highest, and of course ours. If we have a resurgence in somehow, some way, we wind up, making the playoff. I'm not mad at that. Good to go. I was proven wrong. Aaron Glenn's the dude, right? We could still get the first overall pick, compliments of the Colts or the Cowboys / Packers, and I'd be on board with that 100%. So I don't know about the football messiah, Curly Norman, but again, time will tell. Curly really believes we're close to breaking the playoff drought, man. Keep it simple. Salah said he's calling plays for Tennessee because he felt like a cheerleader here. Wouldn't that mean the defense was thriving because of Ulbrich? Can you really attribute this to Salah? 100%. 100%. Listen, look what happened when Salah left. Ulbrich was calling the plays. That defense did not look the same. That right there alone tells you everything you knew. I think honestly, that was Salah's problem. I think Salah attributed too much of his time to what he knew, right? Being the defensive coordinator, vice having his hands in every aspect of the team. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. He felt comfortable in his expertise, but you can tell like the defense got more love. And the moment Salah was fired, that defense fell off of a cliff. Same talent pool, same people, but they were a non-factor in terms of games. It was embarrassing almost. So I think Ulbrich, he's a good defensive coordinator himself, but he was definitely operating Salah's defense the way Salah wanted it to. And yeah, I think the proof was in the pudding because the moment Salah left, it's not the defense lost their identity, in which case I believe Salah was that dude. But Let's get back to the hires and whatnot. Let's get back to what we've been talking about, right? So in terms of the hires, so we talked about the offense, right? But a hire that actually really has me intrigued, and I think most of you guys would probably agree, man, is Seth Ryan. Seth Ryan is the pass game coordinator. Now, this is the same Seth Ryan who's Rex Ryan's son, right? So having the Ryan name back in Florham Park is kind of awesome, but don't call this like nepotism. Is this a nepotism? Like Seth just spent years in Detroit under Ben Johnson, learning how to design the most creative, high-octane passing attacks in the NFL. Ben Johnson, I think, is the truth. you kind of saw him go to the Bears, and the Lions offense took a step back. Let's just call it what it is. It took a step back. But the Bears defense, I mean, rocketed forward. Like Caleb Williams looks like an NFL quarterback, which I didn't think he was coming out of the draft. I didn't think he was seeing him the first couple of years. But under Ben Johnson's tutelage, that dude looked like an NFL quarterback this past year. And now you get Seth Ryan in the building, right? And I think while you have Reich providing us like the traditional structure aspect, Seth Ryan is there to inject like that Detroit style, hopefully Ben Johnson magic, like the creative motions, the stacks, and just a bunch of creative ways to get Garrett Wilson open in space so he can go ahead and do what he does best and get chunks and chunks of yak. So the Seth Ryan hire for me, man, I think is potentially a sleeper hire that I didn't see coming. I didn't see it coming. But then when you sit back, Seth Ryan's been around football his entire life. Now, granted, he's going kind of against the grain from what his father and his grandfather did in terms of being defensive-minded coaches. But I actually kind of think that's a benefit to him because he's seen it from their perspective before. You gotta know Buddy and Rex had him on their lap watching games, breaking down plays defensively, right? So this is a kid who kind of understands the defense aspect and now has the tutelage under a guy like Ben Johnson to be able to coach up an offensive game plan or offensive scheme to beat defenses. So I'm very intrigued with the Seth Ryan hire. And this is what I mean about some young blood being injected into this group of veteran proven coaches that was brought in by Aaron Glenn, because Seth Ryan being a part of this could really open up the field for not just a Garrett Wilson. Maybe it's going to be a wide receiver we take in the draft or somebody we bring in free agency. I'm a big believer that I think we need a wide receiver still. I know some people were believing that A.D. Mitchell or Mechie was going to be the guy at behind Garrett Wilson number 2. But at some point, you got to look at those guys and realize, like, all right, you guys can ball. You guys proved to us you can ball, but I'm more comfortable with you guys as a 3 and a 4th option, vice that number 2, right? I want a 1B. I want a Cincinnati Bengals type of situation for the Jets, where you've got Garrett Wilson and then, wide receiver number 2, whether it's freaking whoever you want, Alec Pearson in the freaking free agency, or you want to go in the draft and draft one of the 3 wide receivers, a 1B option, right? Guys who would start at the 1 in any other team. I want that in one Jets drive because it's going to make the job of whoever's behind center easier. And not just this year, but we're talking about next year as well. So for me, I like the addition of Seth Ryan. I think Seth Ryan might surprise us. He might wind up being a guy that injects some of that excitement we were hoping we were going to get from Angstrom, right? But he's bringing that, of course, with him from Ben Johnson. So I think there's a lot to like there, man. I'm intrigued by that. So that's the offense, right? But let's not forget about the defense, okay? Now, we already know that Aaron Glenn's going to be the coach of the defense. That's already been decided. He's going to be the one calling the plays for it. Woody made it abundantly clear that he wasn't giving him any more money to go ahead and spend on a top-tier defensive coordinator. So on the defensive side of the ball, we got Brian Duker. So he's the new defensive coordinator. Now, again, this is a hire that I'm not that high on. I was not high on it when it was announced. I'm still not that high on it per se. I still believe he's going to be more of a clipboard holder for freaking Aaron Glenn, but due diligence is key. And I'm going to go ahead and do this thing when I get in front of a camera and talk about our team. I got to do my job and actually do some homework on this team. So when I'm talking about him, I don't sound like an idiot, right? And I think he may be more than just a clipboard holder. Listen, context matters. It does. And when it comes to him, he's coming over from the Dolphins and the Lions, right? So he's already got the rapport built with Aaron Glenn. And let's not forget, he was a part of a defense with the Lions that was a top 10 unit. And he went over to the Dolphins and he was doing his thing too. And listen, the Dolphins weren't great last year, right? But he was a big component of the secondary in regards to how those guys played, operated, and they kind of played above their weight. They didn't have a lot of talent in the secondary, in my opinion, with the Dolphins. And somehow, some way, especially in the back end of the season last year, those guys showed out. They play football. They play good football. So I think, again, Brian Duker does bring some value in that aspect. And I think he's here for a philosophy shift. He's here to go ahead and shift some things up. Is that my boy Nick? My boy Nick Shine's in the house. What's up, Nick? How you doing, brother? Working but listening. Shout out to Gunny in the chat. Yes, even you, Curly. All right. Man, y'all know Nick Shine, man. I got some stars in here today, man. I got Nick Shine. I got Dano in the building. I saw freaking where'd he go? He probably already left. Dano's in the building. I got some other freaking podcasters out here doing their thing, man. I appreciate you guys for jumping on and chopping it up. But yeah, so I think the philosophy shift is key in regards to why you're bringing Brian Duker. And I say that because last year's defense was how do I even say? I mean, just passive, right? Last year's defense was passive. They were soft. And Duker's philosophy is aggression. Like it's all about being aggressive. And you saw that again with the Lions definitively, but then you saw it again with the Dolphins last year in terms of how aggressive they got to get after the ball. And he's like a ball hawk specialist, right? He understands how to put the players in the best position to get after the football, to take the ball away. And be honest, man, we need that. 0 interceptions last year. That's embarrassing. That's an embarrassing stat line that will never happen again. The New York Jets having 0 interceptions last year is something we probably will not see again in our lifetimes as football fans. For a defense to have 0 interceptions in a 17-game season, it's unfathomable. Like it's embarrassing. And again, you bring in a Brian Duker because you want to shift the philosophy. You want to get more aggressive. But then on top of that, you also bring in Ben Bowling. And he's coming in to coach our linebackers from that Houston Texans coaching tree. And that Texans defense last year was gross. And that's a good thing. Like gross in a positive way. Again, another aggressive defense. Goal was to get after the quarterback, to go ahead, create pressure, to turn the ball over. You saw it throughout the playoffs with the Texans. They're the reason why they made it as far as they did, because it wasn't because C.J. Stroud was there to help them out. That defense literally put the offense on their back, and they chugged it. In fact, all C.J. Stroud had to do was not throw an interception, I believe, in the playoffs, and they would have probably gone to a Super Bowl. I think that defense was that good that if C.J. Stroud did not throw an interception and just was played below average football, they would have won that game. But instead, C.J. Stroud shit the bed and sent the Patriots to the Super Bowl. So, because again, the Broncos had no quarterback. So it was whoever won that game, that was in essence the AFC Championship game, Texans versus Patriots, was going to the Super Bowl. And the Texans blew it. Well, C.J. Stroud blew it. So now you bring in Ben Bowling from that Texans tree. I love that. I love that because it shows that the goal here is a transition. We're seeing hints that the Jets might move more, I think, towards like a 3-4 look with the hire of guys like Carl Dunbar, another old Rex Ryan favorite, as our new defensive line coach. And this shift is designed specifically to fix the 31st ranked sack production and, more importantly, I believe, to intercept the damn football. Like, to create turnovers, you got to intercept the damn football. I don't know if they've got the components or the pieces available already. Again, you've got a lot of money. You've got some great draft picks. You can get the components you need in the building to kind of formulate this attack style type of defense. Do you have the time, right? I think having the time might be a concern as well, not knowing whether or not these guys are going to have more than – because, again, I do believe Aaron Glenn is coming into this season on the hot seat. That's not changing for me. I think he's coming into this season on a hot seat. And if that's the case, you got to wonder how long it's going to take them to kind of get things going and how much time Woody's going to actually give these guys. Because I don't think Woody's looking at Aaron Glenn and thinking to himself, I'm going to give you 8, 9, 10 games. I think he's being analyzed every single game. Depending on how you lose these games is going to dictate whether or not you're back the following week. And that kind of pressure, I worry may make it won't give this enough time to fully develop into what it can be, right? So I kind of feel like it would suck to get all these coaches together who I think do bring together some potential, and you don't ever give them the opportunity to actually shine through because, again, Woody Johnson's going to do Woody Johnson things and find a way to blow it because that's just what the guy's known for. He'll find a way to blow it. So I think the Jets are like right now are like in a this is the paradox, right? So the Jets have number 2 overall pick, but we know the 2026 QB class is thin, right? So most mock drafts, I think like Matt Miller's have the Jets passing on quarterback at number 2 because there isn't a Mendoza level talent there after Mendoza's gone. And let's be honest, he's gone number 1 overall. So So now you're seeing things like they're looking at Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain Jr., who I think are like high potential edge rushers. Personally, if it's me, I think Bain makes the most sense. But I'm also on the boat of going offense to getting the best wide receiver available at that particular spot and getting a guy like Sonny Styles with the 16th overall pick. I really love Sonny Styles, man. I would love to see him in gangrene, but again, I digress. But if they go the best player available at number 2, and they use that $83 million to bring in, a right guy like Jacoby Brissett or a high upside vet like Malik Willis, or maybe a QB, coming out of retirement, the floor of this team isn't 3-14 anymore. The floor of this team isn't first overall pick anymore. It kind of elevates things, right? Like, I think if you get some of those components, some tweaks right, I just don't see a world where the New York Jets can replicate that horrendous defense again in back-to-back years. Now I know I shouldn't be saying this because it's the Jets. They've found ways to shock and surprise us, but that defense was bad, just bad, man. That offense was terrible, just terrible. So if you've got even below average quarterback play, that alone is a massive step forward to where having the first overall pick, if you spend this money right and these draft assets right, it becomes very difficult to see a realm where the Jets can be that bad in back-to-back years. I mean, again, it's the Jets, right? So I shouldn't doubt those guys. But that's where I'm at when you're looking at the coaching hires. Now, if these guys put it all together and, again, the free agents come and the draft goes well, this team could have a semi-turnaround that's going to put us in a situation where Aaron Glenn might have 2027 to continue to figure it all out. Let's see here. Duker could be the next. Curly Norman says Duker could be the next Buddy Ryan with Glenn in charge. It doesn't matter, unfortunately. I mean, maybe. I think right now there's not enough. I guess you can say tape on Duker to kind of have an idea of what he can or can't be. Again, I love his aggressiveness in terms of how his particular skills group is usually very aggressive. He's all about that. He's about putting them in positions to succeed. You got to appreciate that as a coach. That's an X's and O's type of mentality that you want to have in your coach. So I'm more intrigued now about what it's going to look like when it comes to Duker, but I still don't think, like, as a defensive coordinator, he's a home run hire. But that's the whole point, right? You probably hired Duker, a couple years too early, which is what you want to do. Vice having to fight for his services when everyone and their mom knows he's that dude as a defensive coordinator. Maybe he winds up being that guy. Again, time will tell. Keep it simple, RC goes, not for nothing, Gunny. It's not like there were opportunities for an interception. Our secondary couldn't hold on to the balls that hit him in the hands. That's facts. That's facts. Ample opportunity for those guys to go ahead and flip the field, get some interceptions. They just kept dropping the balls, man. But again, we know these guys play defense because they can't play offense, right? We know these guys are cornerbacks because they could never be wide receivers. They couldn't catch. It's just the consistency of it happening at some point or another. You got to start wondering, like, what do you guys practice? What drills are you practicing in practice? You know what I'm saying? That prepares you for, intercepting the ball as a freaking defensive back, a linebacker. Like, what are you guys doing? I don't know if those drills are in place. I don't know if the coaching put those guys in the right state of mind. I don't know if these guys are thinking more about not making mistakes to where they're not even contemplating on, hey, trying to turn the ball over right here would be a great thing. They played to not lose, it seemed like, oftentimes for this defense. And when you're doing that, you're prone to allowing more things to happen because you're playing scared. You're playing terrified. You're stuck in your little window. You don't want to be the reason or the cause that the scheme doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And I feel like that's the way these guys played, watching them play this last year. They played shook. And it's the NFL, man. It's too fast. You can't do that. You got to go ahead and be willing to go ahead and make plays, whether it's taking a chance. We need some ball hawks. You're going to miss here and there. But I think our guys played so scared and not trying to get out of their positions that by the time an opportunity came their way, they were never prepared for it. And you saw it time and time again. And keep it simple. You bring that up, and that's why I think more so when these guys had these opportunities, they can't like finish. I feel like a lot of that's on poor coaching. I feel like those guys weren't prepared properly for those opportunities to happen. And that's tough. That's just tough, man. So again, you're right. They got to capitalize, but I think coaching those guys to be better prepared for it's going to go a long way. Oh, what's up, self support? It's been a while, brother. I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you in a while. You don't text me no more, bro. Hope you're doing well, dog. Nice to see you in the chat, man. Nice to see you in the chat. Ah, man, my boy Jesse P85. Welcome to Gunny's Fire Team. Fire Team Charlie, man. So the Fire Team is pretty awesome, man. Like, again, I wanted to go ahead and make it to where I was able to give more content individually to the Fire Team members. And I've got a bunch of awesome freaking members in the Fire Team. And Fire Team members are automatically entered into every giveaway that we do on this channel. They don't need to go ahead and make a comment or do about anything. Boom, they automatically get tokens to go ahead and get into every giveaway. We do one giveaway a quarter. If it's just we're winning, I do one a month for crying out loud, but here we are doing one a quarter. So appreciate you, Jesse, man. We're going to be doing another one here, actually probably next month in March, another giveaway. So you'll be automatically entered into that giveaway. So I appreciate your support. It's my way of saying thank you to the Fire Team. And again, I'm going to go ahead and start putting out more stuff in terms of like my mock drafts in terms of what I think the Jets should do. I'm going to be putting that out to the Fire Team members first before I actually discuss it on the live podcast. So you guys will be able to see those breakdowns of some of the players that I like for the Jets and for the scheme. And now that we've got the coaches in play, I can start kind of putting and piecing some things together that I've already been working on and putting it out there for you guys. Again, Fire Team members, it's my way of saying thank you. And you also have access to the annual New York Jets Situation Report Fantasy Football League, where the winner gets an autographed jersey of their choice, and there's no buy-in. For my Fire Team members, it's exclusive to you guys, and there's no buy-in for that. It's going to be first come, first serve. There's only 12 seats. So depending on how many Fire Team members at any given time go into the portal, once it's open to you guys, you're automatically entered, and then the champion will get an autographed jersey. So appreciate you, Jesse, man. Hopefully you stick around as a Fire Team member. There's some cool things coming. So keep it simple states. I think the smart move is to sign a veteran wide receiver and draft wide receiver day 2 because the defense has gaping holes. That makes sense. I won't lie, that makes sense. But for me, if you have an opportunity to bring in Malachi Lemon, you got to do it. You got to do it. I've watched so much tape on this kid, man, the last couple of months, and I'm no expert in analyzation, right? I'm not. I've learned bits and pieces of what to look for, what makes a good route runner, what makes a good. But for me, I watch these guys, and I'm going to trust my gut and say that guy can play football. Malachi Lemon, bro, was something different. I'm sorry, is it Makai Lemon is something different. So Makai Lemon, for me, if he's available, you got to go for him. You do. I think by bringing him into the fold, you're talking about a guy who's legitimately a 1B, and the dude is a wonderful route runner. He reminds me of Amon St. Brown. He does. He reminds me of Amon St. Brown. The dude had 101, I think, targets last year, and he had one drop, right? Like he does some things where you look at him and you're like, this guy, he's going to be a stud at the next level. It's not even a question. You just look at him and you know, like, you're going to be a stud at the next level. And I think you can put him in a slot. He can go ahead and cause some damage there, man. Get you some yak yards. Throw it into his vicinity. The kid catches everything. Some people talk about like, oh, he's just too small. We already got a Garrett Wilson type guy, but JSN and Amon St. Brown aren't big. They're actually about the same size in terms of Makai Lemon. So for me, if you have a chance to draft Makai Lemon, you got to do it. You got to do it, man. If it's number 2, I think you got to do it. Although I think the defense needs more help. So again, I wouldn't be opposed to like getting an Alec Pierce in the building, but I look at Alec Pierce, man, and I do like him a lot. But you watch him play football on Sundays, and it's exciting, right? The guy catches everything thrown his way. Those long bombs, he always seems to come down with them. But like he doesn't create a lot of separation, and he doesn't provide you a lot of yak yards after the catch either. He's more of a contested catch kind of guy. Is he a 1B? I would say no, but I'd say he's definitely a wide receiver 2. And I think he's going to cost some money too. I don't think he's going to be cheap as well, coming off of the season he just had. So I just feel like wide receiver is a premium position, and if you can bring in a young guy like a Makai Lemon who's going to believe he can be the cause for a change, right? He's going to believe he's that much of a dog that throw the ball. Like he could be our own Amont St. Brown, our own JSN. I'm not saying he's going to be at those guys' levels because those guys are the tip of the spear when it comes to the NFL wide receiver charts, right? But he's got that ability in him. I would say keep it simple, man. Go and watch some Makai Lemon stuff, man. Just watch the kid play. I think you would wager that maybe he's worth a pick. Now, I think one of those first round picks should definitely go defense, no matter what. So whether you go offense first or defense first, I don't really care. I just know that one of those first round picks definitively needs to be defense. And again, I love Sonny Styles. I think if Sonny Styles is there at 16, that you've got to go that route. You've got to go that route. I think Sonny Styles is I think he's going to be a stud at the next level. So for me, that's where I would go with that, right? I would go Sonny Styles possibly with 16. And if you want to go ahead and take Makai Lemon with number 2, do that. I'm not mad at that. But I understand the need for Bain as well because we don't know what Jermaine Johnson is anymore. Is the Achilles injury something he's going to overcome and kind of get back to form? Or what we saw last year is his new norm? We already know that McDonald is more of a situational pass rusher. So we've got some issues there too. So you're right. We got a lot of holes. But honestly, I'm in this NFL where it's so geared towards offensive success. I get it. We just saw the Seahawks win the Super Bowl off of the back of a great defense. We saw the Texans get there off of the back of a great defense. This is still an offensive NFL. This is an offensive league. They push for offense to go ahead and succeed more so than defense. And I think you need to stack the deck in your favor if that's the case. So, yes, I believe defense is important, but you got to play the game what the NFL is putting out there right now. And for the NFL, it's all about offense and more offense. So if you can go ahead and kind of soundproof, not soundproof, but kind of strengthen your odds of doing right by your next quarterback or your current quarterback, to give these guys a chance, I think you do it. So I would love to go the wide receiver route for number 2. But I really love Makai Lemon. But I could also see Ruben Bain. I no longer believe Arvell Reese should be the dude. I loved Arvell Reese early on, right? And then I remember, I think it was Buffalo Jets fan he was on this podcast and he was saying like, yeah, man, great measurables, but where was he during the season, right? Where was he during the season? And I think I got so stuck on like just how he's built, you know what I'm saying? How he moves, how he bends that you like, wow, this guy's obviously going to be a stud, but the production wasn't there. And then when you looked at Ohio, and this is why I started falling in love with Sonny Styles, was because I was looking at, of course, Arvell Reese, and Sonny Styles kept popping more so for me when it came to watching those guys. So, yeah, I get it if you go Bain. I guess I understand if you go Arvell Reese because I guess he gives you the home run factor if he does hit. But for me, man, I think a guy like Makai Lemon would be a home run for that offense. It would really open up some things in that offense. And the running game, I think, gets opened up. There's just too many good things he brings to the table for the offense if you bring him in. It really will be a chef's kiss, especially for whatever quarterback you're bringing into the team this year or next year. So again, I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't make any sense. It does make sense, but that's just my take on it. Nick goes, if we're going 3-4, which we all believe we are, forget wide receiver early this year. Go all in on building the front seven. Don't half-ass it. So I look at that, right? And I feel like if we do that, Nick, it's you're building this team to appease Aaron Glenn. And I don't know if betting on building this team to appease Aaron Glenn makes a lot of sense since he's already going into this season on one leg. And I think you want to go ahead and kind of make this roster appealing for the next coach. And if you're Muji, I think you're thinking about that. How do you protect yourself and have the opportunity and ability to potentially still be the GM after you fire Aaron Glenn and have a shot at your own head coach? I think you need to make this team very appealing for an offensive-minded head coach. I think that's the way of the NFL. That's the way things move forward. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm salty that Clint Kubiak is going to the Raiders because I really believe he's gonna be that next dog. I think he's that next McVay. Unfortunately, we're not going to get him now because he's going to be an Oakland Raider. And I think those guys will be better because of it. But I think you need to go ahead and kind of stack the deck so that way an offensive-minded coach can look at this roster and say, wow, there's some weapons on offense, some real weapons on offense. And we've got the a top whatever pick to go get my quarterback in this coming draft class. So I understand the thought process. And that's why I'm saying, like, if we're doing going 3-4, I don't know if that's going to be what the next head coach wants. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the next head's going to want. And I want the next head coach to be an offensive-minded guy so we can focus on that personally. But, yeah, man, I see what you're saying. Don't half-ass it, right? We're either trying to go ahead and build this team to win some games next year for Aaron Glenn, or we're just buying our time. And I think a combination of the two things makes sense, especially if you're Muji. But if we're being honest, man, I think like if things go the way if you look at the guys we just brought in, right? If this team wins 7 or 8 games, Aaron Glenn stays. He stays. But again, the number one overall pick is obviously gone. And then Glenn is coaching for his life. So he's built a staff right now capable of winning just enough, I would say, to kind of keep the seat warm for 2027. So if we're talking me, what I'm looking at, so here's who I think the Jets need to target to make this staff's vision a reality, right? And this is going to focus more so in the free agent aspect, vice the draft. So I call this like the Hangar HangOut big board. So for me, the QB position, I think definitely just got more interesting. I don't know. I didn't see this coming. You didn't see this coming, but it got more interesting. I think now with Derek Carr being out there as being an option, somebody that's expressing interest in coming out of retirement. And if you heard him in that podcast, man, to hear him say it, it's like he's like calling the Jets to come get me, right? Give me an offer because I'm interested, right? So it sounded like he talked about the Jets fan base, how awesome we are in regards to how when he beat us, they beat us, and we got a better draft pick over it. How we freaking, I think the fan base supported one of his freaking charities, and he loved us because of it. And then of course he's fond of Aaron Glenn, so he brings us up unprovoked, mind you, in this podcast. And so I think that has that kind of gives you a hint that there's some interest there and potentially coming out of retirement and being the next Jets quarterback. Right now, if that happens, if he's healthy, if that shoulder's really healthy, Derek Carr, man, was an above average quarterback in the NFL. He's 34 years old. He'll be 35 next month, I believe. So he's still in that quarterback prime, right? That 20 to 35 to mid 30s prime for the quarterback position. Derek Carr is a high IQ guy. He knows the game. And this is the guy also, don't forget, he wanted to be a Jet during the Aaron Rodgers, you know what I'm saying, like acquisition. And we drug our feet, and he finally accepted, you know, the job with the Saints. So this is a guy who already showed interest in the Jets beforehand. And we have a better offensive line now. Is Breece Hall going to be the running back? I don't know. I think he will, but even if he's not, you like Braylon Allen. You know what I'm saying? He's got RB1 potential. I think Derek Carr definitely kind of turns up the narrative on what this team can be a little bit. So then you got Derek Carr. But if it's not him, I think Malik Willis is going to be out there, although I think Malik Willis more so will probably go to Miami now. I saw somebody mention freaking Brissett. I don't know how realistic because he's currently under contract, but those are some impact acquisitions right there on offense. Now on defense, right? Linebacker Alex Anzalone, the freaking Thor-looking dude from the Lions, a linebacker. He's been linked to Aaron Glenn. And let's be honest, man, he could be his on-the-field general. Alex knows the system better than anyone, and he definitively fixes our problem when it comes to linebacker communications. He knows where everybody needs to be at. He's going to go ahead and be that green dot guy. If he comes here to be the linebacker for Aaron Glenn, and you've heard it time and time again, he's being thrown into that conversation as being an option for the Jets. So there you go. I also like edge Al. I want to say it's Al Quadin Muhammad. I think I'm saying that right. Dude's a pure pass rusher, right? He under Glenn. I think he had like double-digit sacks, and he could provide the teeth this Glenn front's gonna need. And now this is the funny one, right? So at corner, I was looking. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. At corner, this guy graded out as a top 5 corner per PFF. And he kind of fits the match principles that Duker is going to bring from Miami. So for me, what about if we brought back DJ Reed? DJ Reed come back as a New York Jet, man. I think he's a good fit for what Brian Duker wants to do with the secondary. And for those of you that are going to say, no, I get it. So there's a kid, Alex Austin from Miami, young cat, right? Lots of upside. And he was coached by Duker last year. So he can kind of bring him in on the cheap. And he could be somebody who kind of gets that cornerback room kind of rounded up or sped up as to what Brian Duker is looking for when it comes to the secondary. Now, let's say Aaron Glenn coaches this team to like 8 or 9 wins, or 9 and 8 even, right? He's not getting fired. He's not. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here because he made some coaching moves that you got to appreciate. I'm just saying, like, if free agency works to his advantage, if the draft works to his advantage, and by advantage I mean like it's average draft, average free agency, and these guys are contributors. Are we ready? Like, are we ready for the reality that Aaron Glenn might not get fired? I mean, the record's going to cost us the number 1 overall pick. That's gone, right? Again, we got the chance that the Colts or the Cowboys / Packers get us the number 1 overall pick, but we might be witnessing a coaching staff so competent that they actually saved the franchise from a total teardown, for better or for worse. And I don't know how to feel about that. It feels like for the first time in years, like the Jets didn't just hire potential, like they hired production. Like individuals who've done it before, like Frank Reich, Bill Musgrave, and Seth Ryan on the one side of it. Then you got Brian Duker and Ben Bowling on the other side. You got Banjo for the special teams. Like, it's a professional staff for a team that desperately needs to act like a professional franchise. And it really makes you wonder, can the Jets actually take off? Can they take off in 2026? Look, man, whether Aaron Glenn is the pilot in 2027 or not, it still remains to be seen. Is he going to be the pilot of the New York Jets? I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like he certainly built a better cockpit. Don't excuse the puns. I feel like with this group he's put together, which I didn't think he was going to be able to do, mind you. I didn't think he was going to have the any teeth in terms of the hires he was going to bring in. But you look at this now objectively, and you're like, all right, damn, man. Like, okay, these are some guys who can definitely make some changes in how things turn out for the New York Jets. Sharp instincts. What's going on, brother, man? It's been a while. Let's see. Jets should trade down for a 2nd overall pick and get a number 1 this year and at least another number 1 next year, plus more depending on how far back we go. Now, sharp instincts. I love that. Personally, I love that. I would that if the Jets could find a trade partner to trade out of pick number 2, I am 1,000% on board. The question I have for you is, who's the player? Like who's the player? I mean, after Mendoza, man, like who's the guy worth trading up assets to jump up to number 2 that you just gotta have? And I think that's where I think it's hard to find a trade partner. I'm not saying it's impossible. Maybe there's a team that's absolutely in love with one of the wide receivers or absolutely in love with Bain, right? And they got to come up. But those are 2 positions that we also need help at right now. So who would that individual be? It ain't gonna be Ty Simpson. So, and that's the only question is who's gonna trade up and why and for who. So much of Sauce. Davidson reminds me so much of Sauce. Very handsy at the line of scrimmage and attacks the ball. Definitely wouldn't mind taking him in later rounds. Yeah, also a lanky dude as well. Um, Again, I don't think he's as athletic as Sauce. I think what makes Sauce special, man, is that for his length and his height, the dude is very fluid, right? Very fluid. He is very handsy, but he's got some great recovery speed, right? When he go ahead and gets detached from the individual player. And he's got good fluid hips. Again, for a guy that's that lanky and that skinny, like usually you don't see that, but that's what I think makes Sauce. But now I wouldn't be upset about it, man, Davidson. And again, with Brian Duker, man, I'm almost willing to take more of some gambles when it comes to corners because again, he wants aggressive guys, and I think that's a good thing personally. Tank Fatai, that franchise guy has Lemon as wide receiver. I think he is too, man. And again, the biggest argument I get when I mention that is his size. People don't like his size, but when I hear that, I'm like, look at that again because he looks exactly like he's about as big as Amon St. Brown and JSN. Those guys aren't freaking Mike Evans size either. And they're two of the best wide receivers in football. I mean, JSN is literally right now the best wide receiver in football. And Lemon does a lot of the same things those guys can do. Just crisp route runner. He catches everything thrown his way, and he's gonna get you right after the catch. There's a lot to love about Lemon, man, and I like the kid a lot. Nick Sean, what's going on, brother? I fell behind a few minutes to my comment. You make the D great. You save your job. You have two below average units. You're fired. I You make the D great. You save your job. But the question I have for you is do you think this draft can make the defense great? I think it can make it good. I think this draft class can make the defense good. And if JJ adds another year to his development and the healing process, right? And he's more if JJ comes back to old JJ, then you have the potential to be very good. I don't know if I see a way for this unit to be great, is what I'm trying to get at. I think you're a couple years away from that. I think this defense, bro, it was deprived of talent. And you love some of the stuff that they did in terms of bringing some people in via trade, giving Muji a bunch of credit for that, right? Like Brownlee, you gotta love that. You like Harrison Phillips, you like the big dude from Cleveland. I keep forgetting his name. You like the moves they did, but I don't know if there's enough there. And I'm starting to question whether we even have a linebacker worth a damn. So I don't know, brother. I just don't think it can be great. I don't. I think it can be good to very good. And is good to very good in a below average offense going to save his job? I mean, I don't think so. That's why I think Muji needs to be the one making these decisions because I think the one that's the most salvageable here is Muji. If you're telling me between Aaron Glenn and Muji who's going to be here next year, I think Muji has the higher probability to be the guy that's still here next year. And so for me, I think that's why Muji has to kind of take the reign and kind of add components to offense and defense, the foundational components to both sides of the ball because you need again to entice a competent coach to come into the a hot head coach prospect to come into the building next year to take this job, and the more you've got pieces on both sides of the ball, it's going to open up more opportunity or more doors for the getting the top guy you want. And so I just don't think that this defense is going to be great because I don't think you can find the great components in free agency, and I don't think you can get the great components in the draft. Now, if you're talking about trading for some particular players, then maybe it's a different story. Can you get Max Crosby in here? I think that guy's a game wrecker. He's good for 2 wins a season by himself. He's just that. He's a dog. He's a dog. But we're talking about months from now before we would even know if that's even feasible. So that's why I look at it, man. I look at Aaron trying to let Aaron Glenn dictate how this whole operation works is going to be him trying to save his job. Not to save the Jets, to save his job. Muji has to look at this and look at it as like he's trying to save the Jets. And that's where I'm like, I don't know about throwing every asset towards defensive players just so we can give Aaron Glenn the best chance of success. Curly Norman, if we acquire Corley, do you think he gets injured by week 6 or week 7? I think we have a really good offensive line. Carr wasn't like the biggest athlete, I wouldn't say, but he's definitely some guy with some mobility to him. He can protect himself. That's a good question though, Carly Norman. He's saying the shoulder feels good, but in all actuality, man, we lost freaking Aaron Rodgers the first game of the season, 3 drives into the first game of the season. So at this point, everyone's injury prone to me when it comes to the New York Jets. Everyone's injury prone because for some reason or the other, we just break people, bro. So it wouldn't shock me if he's injured. But again, Aaron Rodgers, you know what I'm saying, considered an Iron Man in football, tore his Achilles tendon three snaps into his first game with us as a New York Jet. Carr throws hospital balls. Carr doesn't have the strongest arm. I wouldn't say Carr has like the strongest arm, but some of those hospital balls did come from that shoulder injury when he was trying to play, just getting shot up and trying to play. He didn't look the same. Now, I'll say this. If Carr wants to come back, I don't think we just take his word on it. I think you got to put him through, you know what I'm saying, like some drills to kind of make sure, and I'm talking about like a lot of them, to tire that arm out to make sure that he's actually good. Because towards the back end of right before he retired, man, the dude looked like he lost all arm strength. Like he was putting everything he had to get the ball down the 15, 20 yards. It was bad. So now I'm with you. I wouldn't take him as Derek Carr, who we just watched retire with the Saints, where he had like no kind of arm strength whatsoever. You need to put him through the freaking gauntlet and kind of make sure that shoulder is legitimately healed and he's ready to go. Billy, what's going on, brother? That's a pretty serious shoulder injury Carr is coming off of. And it is. But I also think that a lot of where we've come from in terms of like medical. I thought somebody was talking about like, oh my God, this is like the Chad Pennington thing. And I was just like, I think that's a bit extreme, right? But even still, the medical science has come so far. These guys are coming back from ACL tears in 8 months. Before it was a career ender, right? So, like, I think medical science has come a long way to where these guys are able to heal up some of these serious injuries. Again, I'm not saying that he has healed up. He says he feels good. We still need to test that before we go ahead and waste assets to trade for him. Because, again, Derek Carr's not a free agent. So if you guys want to aware, like Derek Carr is still technically under contract with the Saints. So it's going to require assets for us to get him in the building anyway if we decide to go that route. So for anyone who thought like, oh, he comes out of retirement, he can be a Jet. No, he comes out of retirement, he wants to be a Jet. We got to go trade for him because the Saints technically still own his rights. And that contract is still live. So he was like a 4-year, $250 million contract. I think he's due 70-something million of it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off on that number. So, like, you're going to commit resources to bring in Derek Carr. And if you're going to do that, you need to know that this guy's arm is good. You're not going to just risk that and risk, again, the future of the Jets off of his word saying, like, yeah, man, I'm A-okay. Nah, so scrap that. They need to go ahead and make sure medical approval and, of course, putting him through the grinder to make sure that shoulder can hold up. Cousins free agency over any trade for a QB. Even if it's freaking not Brissett. Giants backup quarterback. It's been one of those days, man. Why am I having a brain fart about this? Excuse me. Why am I having Jameis Winston? Wow. Jameis Winston. Even if it's Jameis Winston, I feel like if it would cost us a fourth to bring in Jameis Winston, you do it. I would do that trade. And then I would extend him as well. He'd be my backup QB this year, next year, and the following year. I would definitely do that for Jameis. And Jameis Winston would be fun to watch at the very least this coming year. Kirk Cousins, man, I get it. I'm still kind of salty in regards to how he did us whenever we were bidding for him for his services, and he wound up playing us and wound up making it on Hard Knocks. I'm sensitive to that kind of stuff. So Kirk Cousins, if he's a quarterback, fine, sure. But I don't like Kirk because of the way he did us dirty when we were freaking vying for his services when he was a free agent. And then the way it was portrayed on Hard Knocks, man, that kind of pissed me off. But again, that's just me being this is me being in my feelings. So I personally would make a trade for Jameis Winston if the opportunity was there, and I think you would do the same thing too, Nick. Sharp instincts. Okay. Hi, Gunny. GMs trade up for a QB or for the never-ending quest to find the next Lawrence Taylor. We just need a GM that thinks Reese Bain is an LT clone. That's facts. That's true. That's true, Sharp. You're 100% right. I honestly think we might get there if those two dominate the combine. If those two dominate the combine, which I think Arvell Reese is going to dominate the combine, then there is a chance that someone is foolish enough to trade us assets to move up the numbers. And if that's the case, do it. Do it. Again, I think trading back is the best case scenario that happens to the New York Jets. There's no quarterback in this draft class after freaking Fernando Mendoza, right? We know this. He's going to the Raiders number 1 overall. If there's an opportunity for you to trade back and still get guys like one of the top wide receivers or a Sonny Styles, I think you don't even hesitate. You get that offer and it includes another one this year and maybe another one next year. Without hesitation, you do it. And I hope there's someone dumb enough to offer that to the Jets. I really do. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I really hope. I hope it does. I hope it happens. Wild Chew. If AG gets 6 wins, locker room is intact and they're heading in the right direction, I'm bringing him back. 6 wins? Um, 6 wins. So 6. Okay, so 6 wins. The locker room is intact and they're heading in the right direction. I'm bringing him back. I think context is going to matter at that point. Like, does AG look the part finally? Like, did the year we saw last year was a complete outlier, and now he comes into year 2 and he looks like an adult at the head coaching position? I think a lot of that's going to matter. If we're winning games because our special teams is going off like they did for us last year, or the offense has a little uptick because it's not the worst offense in the NFL anymore, but now we're just a bad offense and we go up against some bad teams, and because special teams was the deciding factor, we win a few more games because of it. I think you've got to look into that and really wonder. But you said it perfectly. You said that if the locker room is intact and they are heading in the right direction, which I would imply that AG looks like he's an adult, then I think I'd have to agree, man. I think 6 wins gets it done. I think 6 wins, if you are legitimately showing me, and then these other losses can't be just embarrassing blowouts either, right? If you're talking about 6 wins and you lost some tough ones, you're going to get blown out a couple of games because you're just not a full roster. I get that. But 6 wins and then you've given us some tough games, then I think it makes sense if you want to go ahead and give AG another year. Now, about giving him the assets that we've acquired that I think would entice getting the best coaching candidate next year. So you'd have to really believe that the coaching candidates coming out next year are not better or can't be better, that you're willing to risk giving AG another opportunity. For me, man, I don't know, dog. I feel like this might be one of the situations where, like, he getting mayoed, right? Like, the Patriots didn't fire Mayo until, like, they knew Vrabel was coming out to be a coach and he was interested. They fired him. So if I'm Woody, I'm making some phone calls to some of the best candidates available. Or if I'm Muji, I'm making those phone calls to some of the best candidates available, presenting that to Woody. And if those guys want the job and the resume looks like it could potentially be something that could turn things around faster, I would dump AG, man, if it's just 6 wins. But again, I would understand if we didn't. I wouldn't like it though, personally. I just feel like we've seen so much bad football as a fan base, man. When I look at Aaron Glenn, I have a hard time envisioning a scenario or situation to where he's a success story. And I'm not saying like it can't happen. I don't want to be that guy, but for me, I find it hard to believe that Aaron Glenn is going to be the outlier of what data is telling us is going to be his story. So again, time will tell. Pop, 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 pop. Billy says, while Aaron Glenn is a former Pro Bowl player and defensive coordinator at Detroit, he doesn't like being disrespected by a bunch of talking heads on TV and the fan base. He's going to come out on fire. And Billy, I actually think you're right. Like, I think I think the version of Aaron Glenn we're going to see coming out next year is going to be one with a massive chip on his shoulder, and not just at like other teams, at like us, because he's getting it from everybody. He's getting it from the fan base, from us podcasters. He's getting it from talking heads on TV. People saying that he should have been fired, like everywhere, right? And then there's rumors of Woody Johnson calling John Gruden and whatnot. I think there's going to be a massive chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to go for broke next year. I think he's going to be very aggressive in play calling in every aspect of the game to make it as a physical or a image of what he sees himself as, right? So when he gets fired or if he gets fired, he knows that he puts a product out there that's going to gain or the respect of another franchise. That's what he's going to try to do. I just don't know if he's going to be successful. But again, if he's successful, let me be clear here. If he's successful, I want that. I want to get in front of this camera and I want to look at you guys and be like, yo, I'm a dumbass. I can't believe how stupid I was. This dude, I want to be wrong. I am a New York Jets fan first. I love that team. New York Jets fan first. I want my team to win. I want my team to succeed. I would like to talk shit to other fan bases and have a leg to stand on. I would love that. I just don't see how it's going to happen. But you better believe I will get on camera and call myself a dumbass and apologize and be grateful that we've got a coach that's leading us in the right direction. I do want that. So I hope he does, Billy. I really hope he does. I hope he comes out and he makes us all look stupid. Everybody who doubted him, I'm not saying everybody because some of y'all are huge believers that he's going to figure it out. But for those of us that doubt it, I 100% believe he's cooked. And I want him to go ahead and just prove us wrong and then roast us. Go on the podium and roast us. I'm okay with that because that means my team is winning. That means my team is doing better than I thought it was going to do, and I would be very, very ecstatic. Okay, all right, gentlemen, ladies. It's been a night. It's been a night. I mean, honestly, man, I just honestly think that if they hit on two to three key free agents and they draft a stud at number 2 or they get the trade back and find a guy, right? And a football player even at number 16. I don't think Aaron Glenn is going away, man. I don't. I do think this coaching staff is riddled with a bunch of guys looking for redemption, which I think can be a very scary thing, right? Men with their back against the wall wanting to prove something. I think that can be a very scary thing in a good way. Those are the kind of guys who come out swinging, and we're about to find out. Are these guys going to come out swinging? And I'm 100% on board if it happens. Again, I just don't know if that's going to be his story. But again, if a couple of things go his way, there's a real chance now that Aaron Glenn is the coach of 2027, and he gets a shot to draft his quarterback of the future. So. Billy talking a wild chew. He says not necessarily. Teams have had turnarounds in one season, and he now has experienced coaches on his staff. He has great picks to work with. He has a lot of cap space too. You're not wrong, Billy. You're not wrong. And this is why I did this episode, right? So again, if you watch the last couple of episodes, this has been me talking about how like he's cooked. Like the Jets are cooked, we're cooked. It's going to be horrible. And then today he capitalized on his coaching staff. And then when you take the emotion out of it and you honestly look at the coaching staff he's put together, you look at their resumes. And yeah, Frank Reich has got some bad. Brian Duker doesn't have much on there. But they do some good things at the NFL level. They're adults. They've done some great things at the NFL level. And you got to look at it and wonder like, okay, if they all come together and then they somehow tap into the great things they've already done and put it all together, which is possible, right? They've done it before. It's possible. They could turn this thing around. Again, it's just hard, especially being a Jets fan, to think this works out for us because it never does. It does for other teams. It seems to always work out for other teams. It just hasn't worked out for us. And so can Aaron Glenn be the guy that finally fixes that? My God, do I hope so. I hope that's the case. But again, time will tell. And we'll know early on next year. We'll know by the end of September, like to mid-October, whether or not like, oh, wow, this is a team Or, well, all right, who's going to be the next hot hire for NFL head coaches? Because we'll be able to read the tea leaves, and it'll be obvious. Sharp instincts. All AFC East teams have tough schedules, and we have the great advantage in that every opponent thinks that the Jets are an easy win, so they will come in flat and unprepared. If only we had a QB, and that's true. That's true. I think teams will prepare more so for the Bills, and of course for the Patriots, even for the Dolphins, right? They'll prepare for those guys. And then they'll look at us and they'll be like, LOL Jets, it's going to be a bye week for us. And I think we're going to go ahead and catch a couple of teams off guard because of it. Again, are we going to do enough to capitalize is going to be the big question. Summer 5, Sharp Instincts. Appreciate you, brother. As always. All right, y'all. The wife has given me the look a couple of times now, so I think it's time for me to call it a night. I appreciate you all, man, for chopping it up with me on a Thursday night. Usually, of course, we do the Hangar HangOut on Wednesdays. There was a lot of y'all that hung out tonight, so making me think maybe I should push it back to Thursdays because you guys seem to be really intrigued by it. So we'll see how it goes. I appreciate your time. That's it for today's episode, man. So we'll be back next week to look at maybe start talking about the draft now, right? We're officially here. It's officially the off season. Free agency's coming up, the draft. I've been thinking about this whole trade thing, and I know it got brought up a couple of times. Imagine trade scenarios for pick number 2. So I'm going to start looking into that and kind of get an idea of whether or not there's interest or there's any kind of scuttlebutt that potentially would lead to a opportunity for us to trade number 2 and move back and gain some more resources. Yeah, listen, it's going to be interesting, but I got to admit, I kind of like what he did with the coaching staff. I do. Again, taking the emotion out of it and sitting back and just kind of looking. I kind of like what we've done with the coaching staff. I don't know if it's going to work out for us because it's us. We're the Jets. But the sprinkle of veteran and sprinkle of new blood, I think, can go a long way into putting it all together. And so I guess, again, we'll see. Free agency's coming up. Draft is coming up. Best time of year for the New York Jets, man. This is the offseason. This is where we usually get our W's. Let's see if we can go ahead and do it again. I appreciate you guys, man. Nothing but love for you guys. I hope you all have a great night. God bless. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And, yeah, I'll see you guys here again next week. Good night.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.